Hey guys, hope you're having a great week. I first of all want to thank everybody for I got a few messages back from my last video that I chucked in the newsletter. I got a few real nice notes. Thank you very much for that and your kind words. The reason I wanted to do this one is about listening to your body. Two of the major questions that we get asked so much: stress, anxiety, depression. Those things usually get lumped in with the same question. They want something to fix their stress, anxiety, and depression. A lot of people are in that same boat. It's such a common thing. The amount of information that we have to take in these days and the amount of stimulus that we have through whether it be like technology or the amount of information we have to take in from so many different angles about you should eat this because it's really good for you, you should eat this to prevent that illness, this illness is rising, if you eat this it's going to make you sick, if you do this and that. There's just so much information to take in that adds to stress on top of your work life, your financial status, all of those things. So that is usually lumped in with anxiety and depression at the same time. It's quite a common question. We get asked a lot about products to help that. Chronic pain is the other thing. Obviously there's a lot of people that suffer from chronic pain, and the thing that I have learnt over the last few years is how linked those two things are, stress and chronic pain. It was around the time of launching Hemp Factory. Although it was a very exciting time for me, it was also a very high stress situation of things that I was trying to get done personally. On top of that, my father was sick. I had to fly down to Sydney to look after my father for a little bit and bring him back to Brisbane. There were some family issues going on in the background with my partner and some other stuff that was happening there. That wasn't a big drama, but it was adding to the stress as well. And I think shortly after, my nana fell down and fractured her skull as well. There's just this whole bunch of things going on at the same time. And on top of that, I was experiencing some really chronic pain. Like, I was training a lot, but I was staying really sore in my joints after I trained. I've got autoimmune disease, I've got osteoarthritis in my ankles, I've got a bit in my knees, and I've got it throughout my entire spine. And it's a chronic pain that I deal with a lot, but I manage in quite a natural fashion. I was also experiencing a lot of chronic pain through my back, and it's something that I usually manage quite a bit. So I had the high stress levels, I had high anxiety levels because of what was going on with my dad, and I also had this really bad chronic pain that was going on in my back, and it was really uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep properly, always like trying to stretch out my back one way or another because it always felt really tight. I went to training one afternoon, started training really hard, and my heart beat out of rhythm. So it's what's called AF, or atrial fibrillation, when your heart beats the wrong way and it's not beating the way that it should. And if anyone that's ever experienced that, it's like heart palpitations, but it's on a more intense kind of level. If anyone's ever experienced that, they know that it's quite a terrifying thing to go through, because you think, what's going on? Having a heart attack? I don't feel very well. It feels like somebody's grabbing your heart like this, as well as this pattern that's going on that you've never felt before. Packed my stuff up, went home from the gym. Probably shouldn't have drove, I found out later. Got home from the gym and then basically rang a doctor. A doctor said, you need to get to the hospital. That can't go on for too long, because it goes on too long, you get blood pool up in the chambers of your heart and you have a stroke, and that's not a very good thing that's going to happen. So I took myself to the hospital. They checked me out, said, look, we can either give you drugs to make a chemical process to get your heart get back into rhythm, or we can put you to sleep and shock you and start and stop your heart, and it'll be done in a minute. Naturally, being the generation that I'm in, I'm always in a hurry, and I'm like, yeah, look, just start and stop the heart. I need to get out of here because I've got shit to do. I had to sign my own waiver form with all the doctors saying, alright, well, you give us permission to knock you out, start and stop your heart, get your beat back into rhythm. And I didn't really get scared until they took me into an operating theatre to do this, and then the next thing I had about 8 nurses, 2 doctors and a standby surgeon ready to go, and I was like, you guys told me that this was a minor situation, and this does not feel like a minor situation anymore. Knocked me out, start and stop my heart. I wake up from the anaesthetic completely fine. They said, yep, look, everything's fine, maybe make an appointment with a cardiologist. This time I'm like 28 or 29 years old. They're like, maybe you've got some type of issue. Went to see a cardiologist, everything's fine. They said, look, if you keep getting these palpitations, take this medication, you'll probably have to be on it for a long time. I looked up the side effects of those medications, and they included sudden death, or they said we can cut you open and they burn a node off your heart and it'll stop the rhythm from going out of beat. Whenever this was happening and I was getting this high anxiety stress situation, my back was hurting, my lower back was hurting, my feet were hurting, my arthritis would really flare up, my pain in the middle of my back, which I couldn't get comfortable, it was constantly happening. It's really important to listen to your body and just don't be so quick to jump on the bandwagon of just popping a Panadol, popping a Nurofen, going to seek out people like myself and try and find medical cannabis to throw a band-aid over the issue. You really need to try and do some research and figure out, amongst all the diets and all the plans and all the suggestions, figure out what your body reacts to best. There might be so many things that are going on that you're not aware of that is causing this kind of stress, anxiety to inflammation type of pattern that goes on. So this is something that I learnt through listening to my body. I did a lot of research. I was figuring out the links between my back pain and the inflammation that I had and the stress I was experiencing at the same time. I happened to come across an article about neuroinflammation and your central nervous system, or your vagal nervous system, and it just so happens we have a family friend who I have been seeing on and off. He happens to specialise in the vagal nerve system and neuroinflammation in particular. I went to see him. I've never had this issue before with my heart beating out of rhythm. I don't know what's going on. It's really stressing me out. I don't want to go on drugs. I don't want to go on this for this operation. I know there's a natural way to fix this, and I know there's a link between my back pain, there's something to do with my nerves, and the stress I'm experiencing. And he basically said, you're exactly right, I'm glad you found me, because there's a link between your neural information, how your central nervous system works through your vagus nerve or your vagal tone that creates this stress response. The more you're in chronic pain, it creates this stress response that goes back up through your nervous system, and it's like a loop effect. The more stressed you are, the more pain you'll get in. Or if you're in a really big amount of pain and inflammation, the more susceptible you are to stress. You can easily get stressed, you can easily get anxious, you can easily get depressed. And obviously, along with a lot of things like your diet, nutrition and exercise, there's this very big link between your stress and the pain levels that you go through. Sorted out my issue now. We figured out through how I was feeling, the type of foods I was eating and intaking. I had a bit of a mineral deficiency. Like magnesium is a really important mineral for your central nervous system, your brain, for everything to function properly. So I did it with magnesium. Fatty acids are another really big one because they protect your cell membranes in your brain and that neural inflammation. I'm just going to chuck a link in the bottom of this video on my friend's blog that he did himself, the guy I saw in particular about my issue, and the link of neural inflammation and chronic pain, and I think it even touches on gut issues as well, because all that's all linked. I hope this information was really useful. I'll chuck those links in there for you. Thank you again for watching, and thank you again for all the notes I received last time and a little gift in the mail, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thank you.